Shut up and sit down.
Hi,
Ready,
fellas.
man. We mess
As
it up.
long as you try.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to congratulate you. I saw that recently you have been inducted to the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, shout out to you. We never had a Hall of Famer on our show before.
Is
It's our
this
first time.
is this where the bad comes from in the name?
No, the bad comes from actually, what is this, 2021, man? It seems like it's like 2050 already. That comes from a ring announcer back in 2000 who gave me that nickname because when I was doing interviews, I made my bones doing interviews with boxers. And
Right.
I was always fair with them, and I never took them out of context of what they said. And I always stood up for them. So that's where the bad came in.
Nice. And it's stuck, has it?
It's stuck. It's tattooed right here. So if I
Really?
get dementia, I know it's still here.
Look on your arm. Well, why am I bad?
Exactly.
Did you do a little fighting back in the days?
I did. I was an amateur boxer from 1980. Were you guys around in 1980?
I was born, just coming on the scene.
I was an itch.
Okay.
My dad. I was an itch in my dad's ball sack, I think.
Okay. Yeah, 1980 to 1983, out of North Miami Beach, Florida. I was an amateur boxer.
Wow.
There were some good boxers that came out of Florida, North Miami. Well, Florida is more known for their football players, not so much of their boxers these days. But who were some of the up and coming fighters that you were sparring against, I suppose, or you was coming up in
Well, I
the
was
ring
an
with?
amateur. So
Right.
more so what it was is you both of you, I know you both know Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard, of course.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, the gym that I fought at, like I said, I was an amateur. But during the day, you had Angelo Dundee, who was their trainer for many years. And back in the day, he owned a very famous gym called the Fifth Street Gym. When that shut down, he relocated. So he brought, Muhammad Ali wasn't there, but he brought a lot of the fighters he was training at that time, like a guy named James Quick Tillis. He fought for the heavyweight title, good friend of mine, in 1980. I had Johnny Lira, German heavyweight named Reiner Hartman. So they would train during the day, and then the amateurs, such as myself, we would come in at night because we were in school, obviously, during the day. So that was my exposure to fighters that came out there. You had Hector Camacho. I'm sure you probably know of him.
Yeah, Hector Macho Camacho. I remember him.
There you go. He was
Mm.
from New York, Spanish Harlem, but he wound up moving to Florida and fighting out of Florida for a while. And then sadly, he passed several years back.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Florida, well, Miami specifically is basically like second home to most people from New York, right? A
Hmm.
lot of snowbirds travel down there for the
Exactly,
winter.
snowbirds.
Yeah,
Where you from, man? Where am I
I'm
picking
from
up the accent?
California.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Northern California, so don't hold that against me.
So with
Man, let
this,
me tell you something. Debbie and I tonight, we were talking about places we want to go because I'm retired. She's still working. And California is on the list to just find a place that is not ridiculously priced because I have a high level where I want to live, but then you have a high price out
mm,
in California. When you say North California, where?
I'm from Oakland, which is
Okay.
about 15 minutes away from San Francisco.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but
Like,
in terms of lower, cheaper price, the only thing the only thing that is, I would say, reasonably priced right about now is probably somewhere in the valley,
okay.
somewhere like Bakersfield, Fresno, that kind of area,
Okay.
which is not too bad actually, because you're 2 hours away from the north and probably 2 hours in the south, so you're like centrally located in the middle. So
Okay.
I mean, you're not far from Vegas either. So
uh-oh.
I know
Right.
Vegas is another fight town. So how'd you get into the podcast game? I know you got your website, the Ring Report,
Ringside
Ringside
report.
Ringside
Report.
Report, excuse me,
That's okay.
Ringside Report. And I see you guys keep it updated because I just checked it out this morning. You guys got all the current events. Hank Aaron died, and I saw
Hmm.
that on your site. The woman from what's the name of that television show?
Babylon 5.
At
Babylon
Babylon
5.
5. Yeah, I saw that she
Yeah,
died.
she
So I
passed.
see you keeping it up to date. Who you got working on the site? Or, tell us about the site.
Okay. Well, it started out in 2004 and it was boxing, strictly boxing at that time.
Mm.
But with the times, as you guys know, you got to change. So boxing is always going to be around because I've been asked this question many times. Is boxing ever going to die? No. But it isn't in the mainstream like it was back in the day.
Mm.
Still around, but it's not what it was. So I would look at. I'm always the type that want to reinvent. So what we did was I wanted to take it 2 years ago into a direction of making it an online magazine, meaning sports, boxing, of course, because that's where I made my bones, but football, basketball, whatever writers wanted to write about, political events, of course, with our ex-president, the morbidly obese, racist traitor Trump. We wanted to cover him.
Save that. Save that. We
Save that.
don't let them know how you really feel. Not right now.
But he can't tweet about it anyway, so fucking.
Yeah, he can't tweet, so fuck him. But believe me, he's that's the thing that bothers him the most. So we cover politics, world news, entertainment. Boxing is entertainment, but we want, like I said, an online magazine because newspapers are kind of dying.
Not
Magazine
kind of.
circulation.
Not kind
What's
of.
that?
Not kind
Yeah,
of.
not
It is.
kind of, right.
It's just dead, man.
They're pretty much dead. Magazines aren't what they used to be, and everybody's getting their news online. So to bring new readers in, a younger audience, we took it in the direction of covering all that stuff. In fact, as we speak, my webmaster, who's out in Sacramento.
Oh, wow.
Walker,
Shout out to Sacramento.
Yep, Sacramento. And he's redoing our banner. So it's going to reflect everything that we're doing now.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. And I was also noticing that you had, I think you had served some time in the military. I didn't see any specific information about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
20 years and 28 days.
There you go. 20 years and 28 days. I'm one of those suckers and losers, as the morbidly obese racist trainer
Oh my
called us.
goodness. Oh my goodness. No, I was going to mention, speaking of the fight, UFC is the more dominant of the pugilist sports, I would say. Now we've got McGregor's making his comeback. Who do you got for the McGregor fight today?
You know what? I know to be honest with you, I don't cover MMA that much. I have covered it because, of course, the popularity. I'm not really a fan of it. So I know that this is the second fight. To be honest with you, I don't even who won the first fight. Do you guys know?
Yeah. Conor McGregor knocked him out.
Conor
He
McGregor
knocked him out.
knocked you
Okay.
out.
Dustin
This
Poirier.
the same guy. It's a
Yeah.
rematch. Okay, I
It's a
see.
rematch.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's the
confused.
second one. I saw it was the second one.
Yeah.
I would go with Conor McGregor. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think MMA is a better sport than boxing, but what I will say is it's definitely promoted better, meaning
Yeah.
they match up the best against the best. They publicize it a hell of a lot more than boxing does. Boxing these days, unfortunately, the best don't fight the best anymore.
Nope.
No, it's so political.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of politics. And as well, when you got Floyd Mayweather, who I'm not a fan of as a human being, but I give him his props as a fighter, fights Conor McGregor, who's never fought before, to go 50-0. They shouldn't have sanctioned that bout. It could have been an exhibition, but when Mike Tyson fought Roy Jones, that was an exhibition fight.
Yeah, they couldn't be a winner, could they? Because he didn't have a license or something. He didn't have a boxing license.
Well, no, there was a winner. Floyd wound up going to 50-0. That was his 50th win.
Oh, I meant the Tyson fight.
Oh, the time, yeah. No, there was no. It was the exhibition, so there was no winner, even though they judged it and they said it was a draw. It wasn't a draw. Mike won that fight. But Roy didn't try much either.
Well, Roy didn't have much left. To be honest, I don't know the last time you see. Last time I saw Roy, he was getting knocked out, man.
His last fight was like 2018, wasn't it? He's been professionally.
Yeah,
boxing.
but he hasn't.
Yeah, but he wasn't fighting.
Fight.
He wasn't fighting top level. In fact, as you said, I'm getting with the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame induction. I'm getting inducted with the guy that knocked him out in 2004 that said, "You got any excuses tonight, Roy?" Antonio Tarver, which you probably remember.
Oh, wow. Shout out to you. He was in the movie with Sylvester Stallone.
He was Mason Dixon. That's right.
That's right. I remember that.
But one more thing with that. The other guy that you might have seen knock out Roy Jones unconscious was Glenn Johnson, because Tarver knocked him out first. Glenn Johnson knocked him out in 2005 second. He's getting inducted too. Man,
well, shout out to those guys. And speaking of which, and now it all comes full circle. I saw on your website that you had a promo. I went on your YouTube page, and you had a promo on there with John Ruiz. And John Ruiz was the guy that Roy Jones fought, if I'm not mistaken, for the heavyweight championship.
Yes, he did. You're absolutely correct. In 2003. WBA heavyweight title. John is a buddy of mine. Quiet Man Ruiz was the champion. Roy did beat him fair and square. Roy still had something left at that time.
Well, he had to put on a lot of weight to take that fight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, he moved up. Yeah, he was a light heavyweight, and he moved up. The first fighter to ever win heavyweight title, moving up from middleweight. He started at middleweight at 160, and moved all the way up. But what happened to him is he never defended that title because he talked all that crap. He was going to fight Mike, who by then
Yeah,
was
yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember that.
Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis was the other champion.
And he
He
didn't
didn't
want
want
to
no
fight.
Lennox. No, no, he didn't want no Lennox.
No, that was smart. That was a smart move. That was a smart move.
Right.
He didn't want no
But
part.
what happened is he lost all that weight to move back down to light heavyweight from heavyweight. That's two weight classes, and he fought Antonio Tarver. And
Mm.
the first fight, Roy got a disputed decision. They fought again, and Antonio Tarver starched him. That was the first time Roy ever been knocked out.
Okay. Okay. Well, perhaps it was from that point, and maybe it was had something to do with all the weight fluctuations
It
going
did.
up and
It did.
down. He just started looking really bad to me in the ring, and he
He
was
did.
he didn't look as sharp in terms of motor skills, because I remember he was fighting in Russia or somewhere. He was fighting some way out place, and the guy just knocked him unconscious
Destroyed him. Destroyed
yeah,
him.
and I was just like, Roy. It's like Roy wasn't moving. He couldn't respond. Like it looked like his motor skills had diminished to such a degree where he couldn't even protect himself no more. So that's what I was saying. Like I didn't think Roy had anything left. But I mean, I think that last fight was just a money grab. The exhibition,
Definitely.
Oh, it
just a
wasn't money
money
grab.
grab,
It wasn't money grab.
and
It was
they
a
got a lot of money for it. But so,
yeah. Oh
But
yeah. Hey.
the best fight on that card was the fight before that. Was it Jake Paul or whatever?
Jake, that come
Oh,
on.
that
The, the, the,
YouTube guy.
the
That guy's
YouTube
a
guy.
fucking joke.
Well,
Horrible.
I was going to ask you, like, with boxing going in this direction, kind of like in a in the direction of like more like Ringling, the Barnum and Brothers and Ringling Bay.
Right.
It's
Ringling
just
Brothers.
been a
Yeah.
circus,
It's
right?
just eye grabbing. With that, that's why they want it now. They just sign up
It's
$25.99 or
but
whatever it is
I
to
think it's
watch.
killing the sport, man. What's your opinion, Brad?
Yeah. No. Pay-per-views. Here's the thing with pay-per-view. Some of them are worthy. Some of them are not. That wasn't worthy to be on a pay-per-view. But in the era of COVID, because crowds can't go, they're going to grab money any way they can.
Mm.
But even before that, I'm not going to put it all on COVID. You were getting fights on pay per view that should have been on HBO and actually should have been on ESPN too.
Mm.
It gets ridiculous. They want all this big money, but they're the best aren't fighting the best. Floyd
That's
Mayweather, like I said, I don't care for him as a human being, but the best fighter of his generation, without a doubt. You don't have to like him, but he was a great fighter. But also, he flipped the switch and became uh, more of the money side, which don't get me wrong, you're in it to make money. The goal of a boxer is to hit and not get hit. But
yeah.
Floyd was starting to fight people that should have never been in a ring with them. It was a money move. And then everything's on pay-per-view. And they were getting up to what, 74.95. The Manny Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao fight was the worst fight I ever saw, and it was the most expensive pay-per-view.
Oh
Yeah.
man, it was the worst
He
fight
only
I've
had
ever saw.
he only had one arm, didn't he? When in the
Yeah, he had
Yeah, that's what he
shoulder.
claims. That's what he claims.
Mm.
To your point, though, I do agree with you. Because back in the days, I mean, we took going way back, maybe 20 years ago. He used to be known as Pretty Boy Floyd, and
Right.
his career wasn't getting the traction I believe he thought it should get.
You're absolutely
And
right.
so he switched over to the Money Mayweather and
Yep.
kind of modeled itself after like WWF fighters,
Yep.
where it became like more of a heel in the ring and
WWE.
antagonizing the crowd and stuff like that. And
Yep.
that's when his purses started to shoot up.
Beating up his wives.
Well, I don't know about the beating up. I don't know about the spousal abuse part, but I'm just talking about in terms of getting eyes on him.
No, that's exactly. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what he did because he wanted to build up his pay-per-view numbers. In fairness to the guy, business-wise, he's brilliant.
Mm.
Okay, the guy went on Dancing with the Stars. He sucked. I mean, he made a little bit, but he wasn't that. He went on WWE. That was smart.
Yeah.
Because what you do there is people didn't know him in the mainstream.
Yeah,
But
that's
now
right.
they say, hey, that's the guy from the wrestling.
Mm.
That's the
Yeah.
guy from Dancing with the Stars. Let's watch him. If you know anything about Muhammad Ali, he had a group that absolutely adored him, and he had a group over here that hated his guts. So they would go out to see Muhammad Ali fight because they wanted to see him lose.
See him lose.
Then you had the other side that wanted to see him win.
Yeah.
Well, it's about dollars and cents. But when he was money made, I mean, when he was Pretty Boy, he was knocking mugs out. The best fight he ever had, and he destroyed In his prime, Diego Corrales, he destroyed Diego Corrales in that fight, and then he destroyed Ricky Hadd, knocked him unconscious.
Mm.
But then he got pay-per-view money, and he started going the other way, safety first, which I get it, but you're not Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard fought Duran, and he fought Hagler, and he fought Hearns, and he fought Benitez. He fought all the greats. And if you want to call yourself the greatest of all time, which he's not, you got to fight the best. And in fairness to him, again, we always want to compare eras. You can only fight who's in your era. But there was fighters that he could have fought. Oscar De La Hoya, he could have fought him a couple years earlier.
I thought he did fight him, but Oscar was on his way. He was on the tail end of his career. Down. Yeah.
Manny Pacquiao, he waited.
Tail
that
end.
Fight was supposed to happen in 2009.
10 years.
It wound up not happening in 2015. He waited almost 6 years.
Yeah.
So he knew Manny was slipping.
Well, to your point though, before the prior to the pay-per-view, excuse me, I remember back in the day, I mean, way back in the days, maybe in the 80s, you used to be able to turn on CBS and watch good fights on Saturday afternoons. I mean, classic fights. I remember watching a couple of Sugar Ray fights on CBS. So yeah, but the quality of the sport, it has been a bit diminished for the many reasons. I think like them watering down the belts, like making so many belts that you don't know who. I mean, come on, everybody's fighting for a championship belt, basically in boxing. Anytime they step in the ring is for a belt. So that diminishes the prestige of like the WBO, the WBC, or the. So that's part of it, and also just them not actually investing in the fighters. You know what I mean? It's like these guys got to find some way to build their brands outside of the sport of boxing, because there's not that like we said, you can't just watch a fighter come up from his amateur fights and then go to his first couple professional fights, then he's fighting on the undercards. You don't watch a guy's career just from start to finish. You got, it's either some hype or some buzz about him, like this guy Wilder. Wilder is not a good boxer.
Wilder sucks. All Wilder has is a right hand.
Yes, my point is he's not a good boxer.
That's what kept him. That's and he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But what you just said, you got 4 major organizations: the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, and the IBF. But what they've done, and it's all about a money grab, is they want sanctioning fees. So now, instead of having one champion, which there's too many, I agree, they have an interim champion. Then they have a regular champion. Then they have a super champion. And it's like, back in the day, Larry Holmes was the champion of the world from 1978 to 1985. You knew he was the heavyweight champion. Now, you had the WBA, which there was other heavyweight champions, but you knew who the guy was. When Joe Louis was a champion, you knew. I talked to fighters about this, and their thing is, yeah, Brad, but here's the deal. It gives us an opportunity to be a champion. I said, that's true, but it's watered down. I mean, when you got 5, 6 belts and 800, and I'm exaggerating, but 820 weight classes, it's ridiculous. You don't know who's the champion. And you just made a point a little bit ago. When you had CBS, NBC, and ABC, which was Wild World of Sports, they did all of those backstories on those fighters. You see those great things, them running, they might be playing Rocky music and they're running up the Rocky stairs if they're from Philadelphia. So they became household names. The average person could tell you Larry Holmes. Of course, they could tell you Muhammad Ali, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearn, Sugar Ray Leonard. They couldn't tell you Deontay Wilder for the most part. They couldn't tell you today Anthony Joshua, who's the heavyweight champion.
That's the British guy, right?
Yeah, we got
the British guy.
The 2 big British guys, Anthony Joshua.
Did he just get knocked out?
And he got knocked out.
Yeah, he got knocked out.
Luis Ortiz? No, yeah.
Andy Ruiz.
Andy Ruiz, sorry.
But they fought in a rematch, and it was the worst fight ever, and Joshua won the title back.
Yeah, that guy got his check and then just went partying. He blew
let himself
up.
go.
He put his finger in his mouth and blew himself up like it was a tire.
That's what what's his name did. The guy who fought Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Buster
Douglas. Yeah, he just blew up, man. Got his money.
But they got the fights hopefully coming out. Anthony Joshua and the Gypsy King.
Yeah, Tyson Fury.
Hopefully,
you know what? In fairness,
they keep
to
ducking
Tyson,
and diving each other. That's the thing.
I know they need to fight. And what's sad is with COVID, if they would have fought over at the O2, because in England, they love boxing. Though
Yeah.
England fans come out, they'll come out 300,000 plus,
Yeah.
200,000 plus. They're much better fans than American fans are, and they're not fair weather fans. They support the fighters from the jump.
Mm.
But with COVID, to be honest with you, I haven't watched a fight on TV. It's been a while because without the crowd there, it's just it's boring. It's kind of boring,
Mm.
even if you're not there.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? To be fair to the American audience, well, you know, back in the day, I mean, because we didn't see Mike Tyson fight all those 26, 25, but you know, smaller fights that he fought. But Mike Tyson was fighting something like every 3 months, every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
he was fighting something ridiculous like that to get those to get his statistics up. So right now you got guys like a Mayweather or more. As soon as they start getting, you know, as soon as they get like a 20 around 20, they start fighting less frequently and less frequently.
Right.
Like they're fighting once a year, once every 2 years. So it's really hard to get invested into a guy's career like that. Whereas opposed to the UFC, these guys are fighting every
I absolutely agree.
every 6
If
weeks.
they're on the come up, then they fight 3 to 4 times a year.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like, so
Right.
you get more opportunities to see these guys in action,
Mm.
and you become invested in it, right? You know what I mean? Especially if the guy's a good fighter. So I mean, boxing is, for whatever reason, it's going the way that it's going. But I think that's left the door wide open for UFC. Not only the
Oh no, I absolutely agree. I don't argue that, and I think the UFC 100% is promoted better in boxing. I mean, it
Mm.
just is. Whether you like Dana White or not, he's a king of promotion. You know, his female fighters, he
Oh.
pushes out there. I mean, Ronda Rousey wasn't that great, but boy, they made her a big star, and everybody
Yeah.
knew her.
Yeah.
Everybody
Well,
knew her.
he was on tape saying that women would never fight in the UFC, and then
Right.
all of a sudden,
well, they got
Now they're
that money,
headlining.
right?
Yeah.
Getting that
That's
money.
right. Money,
Yeah.
money talks.
Money talks. Well,
definitely.
Brad, I don't want to scare away all 12 of our female listeners. We had to get the sports out. We had to get the sports out the way. Now Giles, we want to talk about a few more of the current events. Maybe you
Well,
can.
no. We still haven't gone through Brad's Navy career.
Oh, go ahead,
So we're
Giles,
talk-
take it away.
So we briefly said that you joined in 20 years and 28 days. What was it, 1986?
20 years and 28 days.
86 to 2006. So what happened? So 16 and a half years in the intelligence field. So can you explain a bit on your naval career?
Sure. Like you said, I joined in 1986, fresh out of high school. I was 18 years old. Went to boot camp up in freezing Great Lakes, Illinois, or Great
Yeah.
Mistakes, as we call it.
Great mistake.
And graduated there. Went on to Pensacola, Florida, where it was extremely warm. Home of Roy Jones, that we mentioned earlier. Wound up going to his actual first pro fight, May 6th, 1989. I can't believe it's been, 33 years? Wow, 32 years. Time flies. During my first duty station, I worked with a gentleman who became a lifelong friend. He passed a couple years ago, that worked in intelligence years before. And he would tell me stories during the Vietnam War and different things. I said, you know what? This is what I want to do. So I put a package in to cross from the field that I was in to go into intelligence, and went to school in Pensacola, Florida. Graduated, wind up going to Sigonella, Sicily in May of 1990. And Saddam Hussein decided to be a real jagoff. And we decided we were going to go to war with him, with Papa Bush, the father. So I got over there, and the Gulf War kicked off, and I worked for what was called a Defense Courier Service. So we were flying, not me flying the planes, I was flying on the planes. Top secret material, I can talk about it now. Top secret material that would go to the front lines that were fighting against the troops with Saddam Hussein and all the other people that were over there. And stayed in intelligence for the rest of my career until I retired. 2006, I did tours in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, the real Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, not that bullshit that Jack Nicholson talked about. You can't handle the truth. There wasn't a fucking traffic light on the whole base of Guantanamo Bay. And to tell you a story, I got there. You guys know Scarface, right? You know the premise of Scarface with Al Pacino?
Yeah, the Mario boat lift, right?
Out?
Yeah.
Mario boat lift, exactly. Well, that happened in 1995. Castro was still in charge. Fidel, he let all of the people out again. But instead of them reaching the beaches of Miami, they took them and they put them on the base. So we had, they were called, at that time, they weren't called refugees anymore. They called them Cuban migrants.
Mm.
They built housing out there, and they had 30,000 Cuban migrants on the base when I got there.
Gee.
Well, at that time, I was going to take my family over there. But what happened is there was a religious holiday, and they have a cross. You guys can look this up. There was a cross on the base, and this famous cross. I don't know the story, but they left the base. I mean, they left the house. They were in not barbed wire, but they were fenced in, and they left. And they weren't going to shoot them because they weren't tearing anything up, but they left the base. And there was so many Cuban migrants that they went up by this cross, and they just basically sat there in whatever belief that they had in this thing. So they would not let families come. So I wound up going there for a year. Now you want to talk about hot? California don't have shit on Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Every freaking day. Christmas is 95 degrees.
That sounds accurate. Yeah, that sounds
I
accurate.
mean, hot and dry, really, really dry.
Wow.
Did a tour in Cuba. Did a tour in South Korea. So I always knew that Trump's good buddy that wrote him beautiful letters because he loved them. The son, but I knew I was there when the father was alive.
Kim Jong-il was the father, right?
What's that?
Kim Jong-il was the father, if I'm not mistaken.
The father, correct.
Yeah,
Who was not a great guy, but Trump would have loved him, of course. But they would have wrote beautiful letters to each other. He was actually worse than the son, and the sister is worse than Kim Jong-un. But was there for a year, and then I finished up during the Iraq War, but that time wasn't over in country. I finished up at the Pentagon, and then after that, retired. Went into state intelligence, worked at a command that handled the explosive, the IEDs. Remember when IEDs were real big and
the Iraq War, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So I worked on a thing with that, but not in country, in the States. And then I finished up from 09 to 12. I worked for Department of Homeland Security, which was a lot different than it was under the Trump administration. Under President Obama, it wasn't run the same way that it was run the last couple of years.
Okay.
Now that I told you all that, I'm going to have to kill you.
Please don't. Brad, can you shed some light? I've always been curious about this, and it hasn't made sense to me. What is the deal with the schizophrenic immigration policy that's specific to Cubans? I think Cubans and Venezuelans are the only ones who have like the dry foot, wet foot policy, in terms of like if they make it to U.S. soil, they can't be sent back to their countries, whereas everyone else can be deported.
Yeah, and I know a little bit about that. I'm not that well versed on it, so I don't want to make stuff up. But you're right. But some were sent back, some haven't been sent back. I mean, because if you remember, in what was it, it wasn't 95. You know what? It might have been 97. Ileana Gonzalez.
Oh, Ileana Gonzalez. Yeah. But that was a big mess. That was a big mess.
Yeah, that was a mess.
It was 2000. It was 2000. Yeah. Clinton was leaving. Clinton was leaving, and
right.
Gore was, and that's what they believe that cost Gore the election, because Janet Reno, if I'm not mistaken, they stormed that house where that boy was staying.
Yes, they did.
In Miami, and they snatched him away from his family members and sent him down to Cuba. They sent him back to Cuba with his father, and they believe that cost Al Gore the election.
It's quite possible. It's quite possible. I don't know enough. Honestly, I don't know enough about the policy. I can, like I said, talk about when I was there in '95. They didn't make, the Mariel boat lift, as you know, and I lived on Miami Beach during that time. They made it over. In '95, they didn't make it over. They kept them on base. But they also did like a lottery system where there were some that were processed that could make it, where if they had family in Miami, they were able to get over, to come over, do the process. But I don't know enough about it, honestly, to speak intelligently about the policy. I know that under the Obama administration, they opened Cuba back up where you could go back and forth, but it's still a mess. I mean,
yeah, it's still a mess.
It's still a mess. My father, God rest his soul, he went there in '49 when Batista was in charge, before Castro took over from Batista, when the mafia owned all of those casinos, and it was beautiful back then. Now, from what I understand and what you see, it's still beautiful, but it's very dilapidated. You can see that the beauty, you can see the beauty of the buildings, but they're dilapidated now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Raul, I don't believe is in charge anymore, but they say that they say, and I don't know if it's for a fact, that the Castro family still pulls the strings, and they don't, they don't want to uh, not have it the way it's been since Fidel took over.
And Miami is anti Castro. I mean, if
Oh
anti
yeah, yeah,
Castro had a country, that'd be the capital of it, Miami.
right, yeah. But you know what? When they came over, and Castro was slick. Well, what Castro did, he didn't let his best people out. He
No,
let the
he
criminals out,
he
the
really
mentally
did. Yeah.
insane. So, like I said, I lived on Miami Beach. That was the last year I lived on Miami Beach before I moved to North Miami. Crime went up big time because they were mad when they made Scarface, and they made them wind up leaving and going to California and shooting the rest of it because they didn't like the portrayal. Yeah, even though Scarface was made in the 1930s and they remade it, but the crime rate, that was true. The crime rate did go up considerably because a lot of the people that came over were not his best people, and he knew it. He knew what he was doing and who he was sending over to the states. And I think that also cost Jimmy Carter that, and the
Yeah,
Iran
absolutely.
the hostages cost Carter the election too.
I remember those Time magazine covers where it had the
Yes,
Florida was a Paradise Lost or something like that. And
yes,
yeah, I think
yes,
Miami
yep.
was the murder capital of the United States at that point. Well,
Well,
that was during the cocaine
right, and
wars
you'll know
too.
this one. You beat me to it. Griselda Blanco. You know who
Yeah.
that is from the cocaine wars. Holy, dude! I did not know. I left Miami in '84 to go back to New York, finish up my last 2 years of high school, and I joined the Navy from New York. I went and lived with my uncle, and all of those buildings. Because when Miami Vice started shooting, all the Art Deco hotels were very dilapidated. Because at that time when I was there, it was predominantly elderly Jewish people. And if you ever want to see a good documentary, I've got it right here because I got to review it. It's called The Last Resort. I got to review this.
Let's
It's
see it.
about it's about Miami Beach um, before Miami Vice, how it was, and it was predominantly elderly. It was the cost of living was very cheap, not like it is today. And um, when Miami Vice came, they fixed up all of those hotels and they ran off all the elderly people because they couldn't afford it anymore. But Griselda and the cocaine cowboys, they built all those high rise, all those buildings in Miami, those beautiful buildings, architecture is gorgeous. That was money from cocaine.
Hasn't Miami got like the most amount of banks per capita or something
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the
It
country?
probably does. It probably does.
Just running through
Well,
getting the money.
not just the coke, not just from the cocaine, but if you think about it, they're the last stop before you get to South America and Central America. So a lot of South American banking companies, they do business
Yes.
in Miami and stuff like
Yep.
that.
That's correct.
So yeah, man, I know a little bit. I mean, one of my favorite directors is Billy Corbin, and I loved his Cocaine Cowboys 1, 2, and 3, and Screwball was really good. I don't know if you got a chance to check that one out.
No, that one I didn't. What's that about?
Screwball is about the steroid era in
Okay.
baseball, and he
Okay.
just finished another one about the election, the
Really?
2000 election.
Okay. Gore Bush.
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty cool. So, he's a Miami guy, and
Okay.
yeah, interesting to go back down memory lane. So now you're back in Miami.
No, Illinois.
No,
Oh,
I'm in
Illinois.
Indiana.
Indiana, sorry. Cold as balls out
I
there.
wish dude. Debbie's gonna hear you say that and be like, "We're in Miami. This is the coldest part of Miami Beach I've ever seen."
No,
We were, but you know
Indiana.
what? We were down there in November of last year. I went back. I took Debbie to all the places I grew up because I'm from New York. When my parents divorced in '75, my dad moved to Florida to Miami Beach, and I went with him. And we went back last year. No, last year? No, damn, no. November 19th. Man, I'm telling you, every year of Trump and every month of COVID is like dog years, 7 years. November 19th, we were down there, November 19th. And the weather is still fantastic. You just can't beat the weather.
How'd you end up in Indiana?
Debbie works for BP, British Petroleum,
Okay.
at a
Wow.
refinery. She's been in a refinery business for over 25 years. So we were living in Oklahoma, in Tulsa. We had a home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She got offered a job, real good job offer. So we came here, but don't tell nobody, because I'm telling you, this state is, forget, as I say on my show, forget about it. It's the worst, dude. It's the worst.
Well, Indiana is home for
I'm in an interracial relationship, and they don't quite understand that I don't give a shit what they think. I mean, they're out there here.
Yeah, Indiana is the home of the Klan.
Flags.
It's the home of the Ku Klux Klan, actually.
Well, exactly. Well, but here's the funny thing. They got the Confederate flag, right? But what the fuck part of the Civil War was Indiana in? What part of the South? South Indiana? But they fly it when Trump was still running, the Trump 2020 flag, the Confederate flag, the Blue Lives Matter flag, and the American flag. I'm trying to figure out what part of the fucking Confederacy was Indiana. I mean, yeah, they only have 3 teeth, like some of those rednecks that are part of that fly the Confederate flag. They do have that in common. They have 1 branch on their family tree. They got that in common. But that's about it. You know, I don't understand this whole Confederate flag thing.
I don't either. Yeah, I thought, Indiana's like more Midwest. When I think of Indiana, I automatically think of Illinois, because
we're 30 minutes from
there. That's what I'm saying. So
right, and Fly Guy Mike Pence, Mike Penis as I call him, he's from Indiana.
I know.
He came back here. I was waiting to see on the news how many people were waiting at the airport to wish him in the fly back.
Well, a lot of people don't know that Michael Jackson is also from Indiana. Well, he was from Indiana. Rest in peace, Mike.
We went by his house. We pulled in here December 30th, 2017, and we were bored that day, and we drove to 2300 Jackson Street.
Oh, wow.
Indiana, and his house is like, I don't know how all the kids live there. Very, very
small.
House.
I was going to play a part of that song because they do have a song called 2300 Jackson. I don't want to get banned. I don't want to get flagged on YouTube. So we're going to have to skip that one for now. Brad, we're going to take a quick break. And then we're going to come back. And when we come back,
politics, I imagine.
Yeah, we're going to ask you a few more questions. Then we're going to let you go. So We're going to take a real quick break. We'll be back with more Black and the Brit. Stay tuned.
Alpha males up.
All right, so let's just give you a heads up. I'm just going to ask you a few more questions. Can you hear me? Can you hear us?
Yeah,
okay, just going to ask you a few more questions, and then we have the final segment of our show is called Check This Out, and you already kind of did that with the DVD. But if you have something like you want people to go watch or go see or go look up on the internet, you just recommend that, and then that's the end of our show.
Okay.
All right, cool. So we'll just jump right back into it. You ready, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
Oh. All right, we're back. So the great news happened now officially, the orange fat man's out of the office.
You know what? We're winning.
So I think you're pretty pleased with that. I saw you on Twitter. You're happy with Biden?
Well, put it like this. I'm tickled to fucking death that QAnon is now confused because they thought for sure, Debbie says there's no I in front of Q. But QAnon, I'm serious, in the States. Well, you're in California, so you get CNN. Well, you get CNN. You're in Jakarta, right?
Yeah, we get it. Trust me. We know what you're talking about.
QAnon is confused. They're confused because up until President Biden took the oath, Donald Trump was going to call martial law. Now QAnon, I don't know if you heard this one. You saw the movie Face Off, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
They think that Joe Biden, they switch faces, and Joe Biden now is Donald Trump. But the thing is, if they switch faces, what about the size of Donald Trump? That wouldn't quite work out. That's the new conspiracy going around.
Just ridiculous.
Oh, my goodness.
You guys like pizza, right?
Oh,
you like
Lord.
pizza, right? So you have their other bullshit is cheese pizza stands for child pornography. Are you fucking dude? I'm half Italian. The day I heard them say that, I ordered 12 pizzas just to shove it up their ass because it's insane. But in answer to your question, yes, I'm happy that President Biden is in and Vice President Harris is in. Now, I'm also fair. We cover politics, and if they mess up, we're going to report it. We're not going to sugarcoat it just because Trump is gone and we got a new administration, and whether you're Democrat, Republican, or whatever. See, I never had problems with political policies. I didn't. We can dispute them all day and night. That's fine. My problem with Trump, in my opinion, it was good versus evil. It was no more political. It was no more this policy or that policy. When President Bush was in, it was policies, if I disagree with them or not. When Trump took over, and he never should have been president, that's what happens when you put someone in there that's a reality TV star and that was a failed businessman, but because you saw him on The Apprentice, they said, oh, he's successful. He was not. He failed at his casinos. Trump steaks, Trump water, Trump air. It's all, this is facts. I'm only talking facts, not Kellyanne Conway alternate facts. The people, the 74 million people that voted for him, I honestly feel that a lot of them are racist. I'm not going to say all of them. I think a lot of them hate the same things that he hates, that he made them believe that he hated. I don't understand the people at the rallies that, I mean, for the most part, they're rednecks. Though you have sprinkled in people of color, which that one blows my mind.
Yeah, me too.
He told you who he was. The one thing you got to give Trump is he never hid from who he was. He blew that dog whistle. Find people. When he attacked, let me go back to 2015. When he attacked John McCain, that was a bridge too far. People that loved John McCain gave him a pass. I like my war heroes, but not captured. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that would have sank him. I thought that would have sank his campaign.
I thought it would tank him. 100%. The Hollywood access tape. I tell people this. I'm a man. Have I talked locker room talk? You bet your ass I have. But I've never said, because I'm Brad Berkwitt, I can move on that woman like she's a bitch. He's made it because of who he was. Because he's not good looking. He's not in shape. He's got money. True. Well, we don't even know that anymore. That should have sunk him. You know, you talk about politics. You're pretty well versed. Remember what happened to Gary Hart in 1987? He was on a boat.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was a fake story.
With Jessica Hahn.
That was a fake story.
It was a real story.
No, I'm talking about
that really happened.
They insinuated that some shenanigans had went on, and it actually didn't happen. That was I want to say it was
Gary
Lee
Hart.
Atwater. I want to say it was Lee Atwater who planted that story, who insinuated that something was. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
But it sunk. But he was done. Gary Hart was done.
Man. That was a different time, though. That was a much.
It was granted, it was a different time. Like I said, we're fair. I put out to my team that covers politics, just because we wanted Joe Biden to get in, we're going to cover it fair. When Trump got in, because he disrespected America, look, I didn't, there was things that with President Obama, President Bush, President Clinton, President Reagan, and Papa Bush, those were the ones I served up until the son, Bush Jr. or HW, whatever it was. There was policies that I disagreed with every president we've ever had, but I respected them because they didn't shit on the office. At least I feel they didn't. I know that they could talk about Bush, about the war, that he got us into the war for oil and all that. If you research it, it may be factual. I'm not going to say it's not. I feel they duped General Powell, Colin Powell, when he went to the United Nations with the weapons of mass destruction. But there's another side that says this is what happened. It was never this crazy shit like it was with Trump. The minute he got in, I don't care what your politics are. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat. I don't care if you're straight, gay, black, white, atheist, believe in God, whatever your thing is, I don't care. I'm for human beings like my father was. The very first thing out the gate this son of a bitch lied about with Sean Spicer was the inauguration side.
Yeah, that's right.
Really? This is where we're at. The first week in office, Then we mentioned, we were talking about people of color. When he got up there and he said there were fine people on both sides, fine people don't call people of color the N-word. And I'm going to even take it one further that affects him even more because he does use the N-word. I'm friendly with Mary L. Trump. I've had her on my show twice. Okay, we're friendly. 100% she's heard him use the N-word. But let's even take it more than that. That's bad enough for me. You guys know this, or you may not know it. You know Jared is Jewish, right?
Yeah, of course.
Jared Kushner is a Jew.
Now his daughter is Jewish.
His daughter, right, converted to Judaism, which means Donald Trump's grandkids are freaking Jewish. Those people said what? Jews will not replace us blood and soil, which is Nazi, Hitler. But Trump said there's fine people on both sides. Where were the fine people on both sides?
It's a good question. Well, there was some finely dressed people on the other side. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. With tiki torches.
I know.
Oh God, that was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. The kids in cages. Oh, but President Obama, yeah, they were built under the Obama administration, but he didn't use them in the capacity that Donald Trump did. The tax cut. It was for the rich. When Donald Trump stood in front of the bully pulpit and he said, this tax plan is going to affect me, whatever he says, it's the opposite. Always is and always will be. He wanted to, he ran, this is what I believe, and I've talked to insiders that believe it too, and I don't do that conspiracy bullshit like Alex Jones, who's a scumbag. He was pissed when President Obama roasted his ass at the White House dinner, dropped the mic.
I was going to say that.
And I feel that's when he said, I'm going to run. And if you watch the documentary on him, he got with Jesse Ventura's guy.
Minnesota.
He was independent. What's that?
Minnesota.
Yeah. And they taught him, throw shit out there and just keep saying, it might stick, it might not. But he as dumb as Trump is, he's a master of manipulation where you've never seen in our lifetime a news cycle not go 24 hours. With Trump, it was 5-minute increments. Because think about this. You had the bullshit of the election, which was, I'm fair. I always try to be fair. Was there voter fraud? Sure, there was voter fraud. There's always going to be some type of voter fraud in a big election. But was it widespread that he got ripped off? No. Little pocket here, little pocket there. You have him coming out. All it was a grift so he could raise money, which he raised about $300 million on Stop the Steal. The letter at the bottom said where the money could go, which was not just for the election. And think about it. Where were the areas that him and his boys were targeting? What was the common thread?
But that's what the whole thing about the ballots being illegitimate, right? Because what he's fundamentally challenging is the rights of black folks to be rights of black folks and brown folks to be in the country. Like those are not the real citizens. You know what I mean? If we only count the real citizens, and that's what he came out and said that a few times. If we count the real citizens, white people, then I won. And so that's what he means. Yeah, that's what he meant.
Yeah, oh no, he won hundreds. He wanted, but see, here's the thing. This is why. But Trump didn't do it alone. Trump is a useful idiot. Mitch McConnell is the dirtiest bastard of them all because he understands how to work the system.
Yeah,
you had that January 6th. You had an insurrection. Those motherfuckers are domestic terrorists, and every one of them should be tried. Again, you had a few which pissed me off. I'm not holding them in less regard. I'm holding everybody the same. You know this. You had people of color that were marching in there with them guys with the fucking Confederate flag. I'm like saying, so what? They would hang you. Yeah. That same noose they wanted to hang Pence with, they would hang you because they were yelling at black cops and calling them the N-word.
Yeah, yeah.
Officer Eugene
Robinson, something like Goodman. Yeah, that's right.
Goodman. He's a hero. He should have been brought to Pence before he left. Should have brought him to the White House because Pence was running the country. should have brought him to the White House and presented a medal to him because he saved their asses. I would have probably pulled out the gun and shot a couple of them.
I was thinking that too.
I am not gonna lie. He grabbed the metal baton and he protected him, because if they would have went that way, they would have got right in there, and there were still people inside that building, inside the chamber. He's a hero. Donald Trump and his scumbag father, Fred, in the 70s, housing applications, apartments, they put either N or the word C. I think C for colored, because they did not want to rent apartments. They knew what Trump was.
Yeah, you're right.
They knew what he was. He showed you what he was. Fine people. There's my African American. Omarosa only was talking shit and wrote a book because they booted her out. If they wouldn't have booted her out, she would have stayed there. Diamond and polyester, as I call them. Right?
Polyester.
And Candace Owens.
Oh.
Candace Owens. Really? Herschel Walker. You know, his son. Like I said, I don't care what your sexual preference is. Could care less. But the hypocrisy is this. Herschel Walker's son is a queen. He's a queen. That's a fact. The people that support Trump would hate his guts, first for being a black man, and worse because being a gay black man. But Herschel goes to the RNC and says Trump is not racist.
Well, really, you gotta understand it from Herschel's perspective, because he did play for Trump when he owned the New Jersey Invaders, or whatever that.
New Jersey Generals, I think.
New Jersey Generals. That's right. Thank you.
Right.
It was the Oakland Invaders. This was a real. These were real teams.
Really?
Yeah, they're real teams.
XFL.
Wow.
And well, he played for Trump, and at the time, I think Trump signed him.
Wasn't Herschel Walker the guy who said he never did any weights? He just did push-ups and sit-ups?
Yeah, that's Herschel. Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he was naturally. I mean, he's probably one of the best athletes of our lifetime. But Herschel made a lot of money with him, because Trump signed him to like twice the size of a contract he would have got had he went to the NFL. So you got to take it from his perspective. From his perspective, he thinks
he got paid by the white.
He got paid, man. So I mean,
he got paid. But you know what? But this is the perspective I take it from. I'm a white man. I'm half Russian. I'm half Italian. I never think of me. I think of humanity. And Herschel knows he's not stupid. He is not a stupid man. He might have paid him well, but look how many black people he screwed over. Aretha Franklin dies. The best thing he could say, you remember what he said? She worked for me. She worked for me.
Oh my God.
Queen of Soul. First of all, she didn't work for Trump. She was a contractor to play
at his casino,
hotel.
right? Yeah, okay.
At his casinos. She didn't work for you. There was a contract. She wasn't your maid. She wasn't your nanny. But in her death, he says she worked for me. He's a racist. He's a bigot.
What do you think about that Candace Owens then? Because me and Corey got into it a bit when I first saw the video of her condemning her fellow black people about what they're doing, smashing up places and all this stuff. I think it was the video about
Black Lives Matter.
George Floyd.
Right.
Video.
I sent it to Corey, and he already saw it, and then he was saying all sorts of things, calling her, what were you calling her?
I don't remember what I was calling. I was calling her something rather unfavorable.
Yeah.
But my point is, please explain what your sentiments about Candace Owens. People like her, of her ilk, like you just said, the Herschel Walkers.
Let me again be fair. Let me be fair, because I just did a show. It was strictly me, a commentary on Black Lives Matter. First of all, I stand with Black Lives Matter. I talked about Black Lives Matter. I talked about Colin Kaepernick. And like I said, I always try to be fair to all sides. But unless you're absolutely nuts, then I can't. But if you got a sound point, Black Lives Matter. It was proven that there were some people within Black Lives Matter that were looting and rioting. It was also proven that Black Lives Matter had infiltration by white supremacist groups and agitators, like that son of a bitch who was breaking the windows
in Minnesota.
Right. A lot of it that you see is somebody being stupid that said, okay, he broke open the window to the store. I'm going to go in there and take some shoes or whatever. I'm not for that. I don't think that helps the cause. But my point is this. Any group, good or bad, and like I said, I stand with Black Lives Matter. When you have big numbers, you're always going to have some fool in there. Problem is, they can't stand that the word black is in front of Black Lives Matter, Because as we all know on this show today, that there are a lot of white people within Black Lives Matter. But whenever you put the word black, it always has to be all lives matter. When we say prostate cancer attacks men, we don't say, well, breast cancer attacks women. We just say cancer. But whenever you say Black Lives Matter, anything that comes with black people in this country, there's always has to be an equivalent to it. Black Lives Matter was always a righteous cause for police brutality and social injustice. Now, my other complaint that I have with Black Lives Matter, and I said it on my show and I stand by it, is I don't feel that it's organized as well as it should be for this point. When something goes down, whether it's an agitator, a white supremacist group, or somebody within Black Lives Matter, you would think that you'd see them on CNN. All the liberal media would have them on there. You don't really know, at least I feel, who the face is. I know it was a couple women. I think somebody died that started. I don't know all of it. When Dr. King marched, you knew that Dr. King, John Lewis, you knew the faces. So when the media wanted to go to talk to somebody, they go to Dr. King, they go to John Lewis, or they'd go to other members. I want to have Black Lives Matter people that are way up there on my show. I've reached out. Can't get anywhere. Can't get anywhere with getting anybody back to me because I want them to be able to tell their side. Candace Owens it's a money grab. She knew that being a provocateur, which is what she's called, and there's other people too. There's a guy named, I don't know if he's called Angry Black or something like that. There's a bunch of shows, YouTube shows, and they got bullshit you not 1, 2, 3 million followers, which means they're monetizing the videos.
Money. Yeah, of course.
Monetizing the videos, they're making money. That doesn't help the cause. Black Lives Matter is a righteous cause. They wanted to say the insurrection and compare it to Black Lives Matter. No. The insurrection was never a cause. It was based on the premise of a fucking lie. Started with Trump, expanded by Cruz and Hawley and Marjorie Taylor Greene and his nut job Lauren Boebert, who's absolutely insane, and all of the Republican congressmen that stood up and voted against the election even after the Electoral College certified it. Where I stand, like I said, is with Black Lives Matter. I just want to see it organized better. They made so much inroads to open up people's eyes. I don't care if George Floyd was a drug addict. I don't care if George Floyd had a record. George Floyd was murdered with a knee on his neck by Derek Chauvin.
Yeah.
Okay, period. End of story. He was begging for his life. But because we have COVID and it was in our face, there was white people that finally said, holy shit, this is real. Though it's been real for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
that took it to the next level.
And it's definitely been happening for a long time. It's just
it's been happening for a long time.
Everyone.
But you had a president. Think about this. But you had a president. Trump could have been, people kind of like, I can't believe you said this. Think about this. I'll back it up. Trump had the potential to be one of the best, if not the best fucking president this country ever had. You know how? He had racial inequality. He had policing issues. He had a virus. He had all of an economy. He had immigration. He had all of these things that he mismanaged in his administration, where if he would have handled it right, if he would have handled just COVID better than he did, I think he would have beat Joe Biden.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
100% he would have beat, in my opinion, he would have beat Joe Biden. But he fucked up everything like he's done in his personal life, and his father wasn't there to bail him out. Let me make a point, because I talked about the Black Lives Matter with Colin Kaepernick. I take a knee with him. You have every right as an American to not like that Colin took a knee. I don't have a problem with that. Every right. But what you don't have the right to do, in my opinion, is change the narrative of why Colin took a knee. I was in the military. That flag that you see behind me was flown in Cuba. Above it is my shadow box with a flag that was flown above the Pentagon and put in my box with all my medals. I was in the military. These motherfuckers that want to talk about he disrespected the military guys, they didn't even serve in the Salvation Army, okay? Let alone the United States military. He didn't disrespect the military. He took a knee peacefully. He didn't disrespect the flag. Now, this is my opinion. He didn't disrespect this flag or the other one that I have. He was told by an Army person to take a knee because it was more respectful. He listened to this Army guy. This is all fact. You can research it.
Yeah, the guy's name was
active duty Army.
Nate Boyer.
What's that?
Nate Boyer was
that's his name.
That's
his name. He took a knee. But what they want to do is they want to change the narrative, and then Trump come along, and because it's a black football player, and he wants to say, those son of a bitches, they need to be fired. Trump needs to be brought up on molesting the flag when he came out to CPAC and he hugged the flag because that son of a bitch, that flag just had a kid and he ain't paying child support for that kid. And the reason why I know it's his kid is because it's blue and red with stars and part orange. So you know he impregnated that damn flag when he humped it. but it's ridiculous. When have you ever seen that, guys? When have you ever seen that?
I mean, the whole thing was a circus, and honestly, I think it was designed to be a circus to distract away from the primary point of his administration, which was just to steal money. I mean, like I said, they've been stealing money since they got in there.
Yes.
And, you know what I mean? They've been inventing ways to loot the treasury without going in there with an actual truck, with a physical truck, and just loading in the money from straight off the presses. So that's what that was. And I think he did a brilliant job at that because that's what the primary goal was.
He was a grift. He was a grifter.
Absolutely. So I applaud him on that.
It all comes back from like that Obama when he's reading tweets out and he said something about Donald Trump. He said, but you'll never be the president of the United States or something like that. And then that kind of triggered him to go, you know what? I will run.
I will do this.
I remember I was sat with my my brother-in-law, and he's a Vietnam vet, and he was just saying, this is all bullshit. I can't believe Trump is just a circus. And I looked on my betting thing, and like the odds were something like 25-1. So put $1 on, you win $25 for him to become president. And then within 2 weeks, it was just getting slashed and slashed and slashed. And then all of a sudden, like he was almost favorite.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, and you talk about, as an American, think about this one. This son of a bitch stood in Helsinki with Putin next to him. And they asked him, did you ask him, did he interfere with the election? Oh, yeah, I asked him, and he told me he didn't. And I believe him. Putin. Putin.
The guy who just poisoned his political opposition a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Not a couple of days ago,
right.
But guy just got back out of the hospital.
Yeah.
So do you think there should be one person running the country? Should there be a presidency? One man that really is like the commander in chief, has the say all to the last say on anything, or should it be a mix of people?
No, I think it should be one. Honestly, I wish that we would have things like term limits on politicians. Democrat and Republican, they get in there for too long. Mitch McConnell should have went a long time ago. You don't find out things after the fact. With President Obama, whether you support him or you didn't, that's fine. But what you find out is how much McConnell blocked him at every turn. I'll give you an example. Merrick Garland is most likely going to be our next attorney general. So President Obama, and he's not far left and he's not far right. He's
super
more
centrist.
center.
He's definitely a centrist.
He's more right. As you know, and I know you're sharp on politics. I give you your props, man. And you're.
He does.
I'm like 13 years. Yeah, that's all right.
He does.
But you listen to him. Which means that you know he's. Yeah, you just not right.
Mm-hmm.
But he wanted to put Merrick Garland up in February of the year of the election, and McConnell said, no.
Yeah, that's right.
They put up Amy Coney Barrett when people were voting
before the vote. Yeah,
while they were doing by mail-in vote. You see the party. How about Lady G, Lindsey Graham, who I can't stand?
Oh, Lady G. I'm glad somebody finally said it.
Lady G.
Go ahead.
and here's the thing. I crack on him. I'll tell you another point in a second. But he said, in his own words, "You can use my words against me. If we put a Supreme Court nominee up in an election, whatever he said, I don't remember the exact quote. And then what happens? He allows it with her.
Of course.
Here's both sides play the political game, 100%. But what I'll say, in fairness to the Democrats, I'm an independent, by the way, but in fairness to the Democrats, and I've been a Democrat, I was a Republican when Trump got in, I left the Republican Party, now I'm independent. I'll vote for whoever I think is the best candidate. But these guys and gals that stood by after the insurrection. Kelly Loeffler, I'm not giving her credit because she decided, because Sunday she said, I'm standing with President Trump and I'm going to vote that it was a rigged election.
Yeah.
Then the insurrection happens. Only reason she didn't vote, change
her
she mind,
lost.
is because she lost. She lost. And here's the thing. How in the hell Georgia is as racist as they fucking come? Warnock, Senator Warnock, because I like to be respectful. Senator Warnock, Senator Ossoff, you have a Jewish man and a black man in Georgia that beat them. You know them racist rednecks are living. Only thing worse that could have been is if one of them was gay. Then they would have lost their freaking minds on top of it. But they beat them. And President Biden beat Trump in Georgia. Fairness to Stacey Abrams, she did a lot of groundwork to try to get things changed. God bless her, because she busted her hump. And she should have been governor, but they played games with
they played a lot of games.
Gerrymandering and just all kinds of look. Electoral college gotta go. To me, the president, and answer to your question about, yes, I believe one president, but I think it should be popular vote. If the Republican wins by 3 votes, then he or she won by 3 votes. Every other election is won by votes. Point with this cheating. You're going to tell me that the same ballot, if you voted, you know this, you hit the machine, if you're a Democrat or Republican, you hit the one button and it votes party line all the way down. The local judges here, you got to pick the local judges. But you hit that button, all the Democratic, meaning governor, whoever's on the thing, president, governor, senators. You hit Democrat, it's populating.
All down ballot, right? Yeah.
All down ballot. So you're going to tell me that they won 10 seats in the House, and we only picked up 1 senator in Arizona, Captain Mark Kelly, or Mark Kelly, I think his name is. So we only fucking ripped off Donald Trump of the election. We didn't, that old saying, if you're going to steal, go big. Don't steal $20, steal 20 million. Because if you're going to go to prison, make it worth it.
Exactly, yeah.
We're going to rip off Trump, but not all the other candidates. That makes about as much sense as Trump walks around at a svelte 210 pounds. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But no, I believe in one president. We need to do away with term limits across the board. I don't want to see people in there. And I also want to see the Supreme Court. What's that?
Like career politicians, get them out.
Career politicians. And I also want to see the Supreme Court not be for life. And the reason why I say this is the world changes around all 3 of us. And the older we get, the more we get set in our ways, whether it's conservative, whether it's liberal, whether it's center. The older you get, you usually like, well, this is the way I think. And very seldom are we going to change. The older we get, I'm going to be 53 in April. You put a Supreme Court justice, whether it's RBG or Clarence Thomas or Alito or Roberts, whoever, for life. That's a lot of world changing around them, a lot of world. Yeah. I think that there should be, and I don't know if it's 10 years, what the number should be. I'm open to that. But I think we need one president, and I do think we need 2 parties to keep a check on each other. But enough of the bullshit. The Democrats make mistakes too. They made plenty of them. But in my opinion, you've never seen them go this far. Barbara Boxer stood up when I think it was Bush, and she protested like they did. They can do it. It's part of it. But she couldn't get a senator to sign on to that. They got senators this time to sign on. Mike Pence, he didn't invoke the 25th Amendment. I wish he would have. Trump didn't do, I thought he was going to do something else crazy. He didn't. We got lucky. But I wish if Pence cared about this country like he claims he does, that when they have the Senate hearing, because I know he's got dirt on Trump, that he goes in there and he testifies against him, but he's not. And they're probably not going to get 17 senators to vote to convict him, which is ridiculous. They need to get rid of him. But when 74 million people vote for him and all that money,
party, right? He's the party, so they gotta toe the line.
But you got to toe the line. But there's one thing that's happening now, and I know you guys are aware of it. Sponsors are pulling that, what we call, the Italians call the fazools, all about the Benjamins, baby. Mm-hmm. And they are pulling, like Mike Lindell. I hope that crack kid goes bankrupt because Bed and Bath isn't giving him money.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
He went to the White House. You saw when they held up his document, they got it. They zeroed in on it. It was for martial law.
All that. It was a mess.
He's nuts.
Yeah.
He's nuts. One president.
Do you think Trump will run again in 2024?
Well, that's what the second impeachment is about. That's what it's really about, to stop him.
Right. They want it, but the impeachment alone, what they did, doesn't stop him from running.
Not right now.
He's 74. He's 74 years old. Mm. He'll be 75 this year. He'll be 78, 79. Mm. President Biden was 78. There's a chance he'll run. It's all going to depend if the Republican Party decides that they're going to pull away from him and find a way. But Ted Cruz, who's a pussy, and Hawley, who's even a bigger pussy, they're trying to do what Trump did. Mm-hmm. Only Trump could do that. He's the only one who could get away. Marco Rubio is another little prick. He tried to do the name calling with Trump one time in a rally. I saw it.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. Only Trump could get away with doing what Trump did.
But that's because he has been doing that for years. That's what he has been doing.
Yes.
Like,
right. He's done it for years.
Fine, right? It was as bad as it was, as disgusting and to a lot of people that it was. That's who Trump was, and he had been doing that.
That's what he was.
Unapologetically for numerous years. Remember, we used to talk about Rosie O'Donnell and getting in fights with like Barbara. What was her name on Barbara? The one who used to do 60.
Oh, Barbara Walters. Barbara Walters.
He'd be battling back.
Well, think about it. This guy.
Yeah, Rose.
Think about it. He used to call in when he lived in New York to get in the gossip columns and said, "This is John Barron, and he's got a son named Barron." Yeah. That was his code name to say his wealth was more. He was dating this one. He was dating that one. And Melania. How about Melania? He's supposed to have all these religious people. You would think they would have went nuts when Stephanie, I forget her last name, Winston Seymour, something like that wrote the book Melania and Me, came out with the tape where she said, "Fuck Christmas." Now, religious people would have lost their mind.
No.
They would have lost their mind.
No.
But Trump gets a pass like I've never seen anybody. Nixon is a choir boy. In fact, they need to go break into the DNC again because that still wouldn't. They bring back his bones as ghosts, and Nixon still wouldn't be as bad as
I am not a criminal.
Brad, we would love to keep this conversation going, but unfortunately, my battery is about to die, and we've gone well over the hour. So, what we need to do, we're going to do our final segment of the show. Check this out. And I want you to recommend something that you would that you want people to watch or to see, or listen to, or whatever the case is. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I invite all. First of all, thank gentlemen for having me on. It was great. You got access to me anytime. If you got other shows, send me your press releases or whatever, like you did in Microsoft Word document. I'll run all your shows. I'll push it out to my followers.
Cheers.
I believe in supporting other people.
Cheers.
So salute there. Check me out. My channel is Ringside Report Web TV channel, which hosts the Bad Brad Berkwitt show, my RSR video email bag show, which is where I take boxing questions and I answer them. Check out ringsidereport.com. I got a great team of writers from all over the United States and overseas, in Scotland and everywhere in the United States you can think. They write about politics. They write about sports. They write about entertainment. Great team. Check out my personal website. That's where you can keep up with all my upcoming appearances, shows, and all of that, which is badbradberkwitt.com. And to all your viewers on humanity, I talk a lot of shit, but I do it because I want to see things change. With every act of kindness, there's a little love we leave behind. And if people could just adapt that just a little bit across the board, white, black, straight, gay, Hispanic, other, if we could just be kinder to people across the world, just a little bit, we could be such a better world.
That's great.
And that's it.
All right, I agree with that, and we're gonna post all those links. We're gonna post all your links. We're gonna post this on YouTube, so we're gonna post your links below in the description. So please, you guys go ahead and check that out. Ringside Report, and also follow him on Bad Brad Berkwitt on Twitter. Gosh, that alliteration, that's hard to do, man.
It's a tongue twister. It's a tongue twister.
It is. You know what? Before we go, I did a TV show for 12 years. I was a boxing analyst, and my buddy Glenn Harris was the host. It was Sports Talk on News Channel 8. It was in D.C., Virginia, Maryland, and West Virginia. Every time he was like, man, that's a freaking tongue twister. And
it is.
Like, all right.
It is.
Bad Brad, one more time. Bad Brad Berkwitt Show. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on Twitter, Instagram, and ringsidereport.com. So
not Instagram.
Not Instagram. Okay, not Instagram.
YouTube.
Yep,
Twitter and YouTube. YouTube. That's right.
There you go.
Brad, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Enjoy your day, sir. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Cheers, Brad.
Cheers.
All right. Take care.